Hi guys, today welcome to my channel. Today நம்ம வந்து how the Grinch stole Christmas படிக்கிறோம். இது வந்து நான் அப்படியே புக் படிக்க போறேன். அத நம்ம சேனல்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் செய்றோம். இது நான் இனிமே எப்படி செய்வேன்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது. வாங்க வீடியோ Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one knows quite the reason. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down the Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. Tomorrow they're hanging there. It's Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his grinchy fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who's girls and boys will wake up bright and early, they rush for the toys, and then oh the noise, oh the noise, oh the noise, noise, noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. The Who's young and old will sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, 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 and they'd feast. They'd feast on some Who pudding and some rare Who beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand at least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, will stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They stand hand in hand, and the Who would start singing. And they'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. The more the Grinch thought of this whole Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought I must stop this whole thing. Wow, for 53 years I have to come up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. There. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. He chuckled and cuckled with what a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer, but the Grinch looked around. But since the reindeer's car, there's none to be found. That stopped the old Grinch. No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max and took some red thread. He tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh. He hitched up old Max. The Grinch said, "Get up," and the sleigh started down towards the home where the Who's lay a snooze in the town. All the windows were dark, white snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to house number first house on square, to stop number one, the old Grinchy closed his. He climbed up the roof and with empty bags in his fist. He slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck out his head or the fireplace flew. While the little Who's stocking out hung in a row, his stocking he grinned at the first thing to go. He slithered and slunk with his smiling most unpleasant around the whole room. He took every present: popcorns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard, tricycles, popcorn and plums. He stuffed his black bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. He slept to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who's pudding and he took the roast beef. He cleaned up the icebox quick as flash, while the Grinch even took the can of Who hash. Now he stuffed off the food up the chimney with a glee, and now the Grinch and stuff off that tree. The Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little silly Lou, who was not more than 2. The Grinch has been caught by the tiny whose daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch so smart and so slick, he thought of a lie, he thought it up quick. Why, my little thought, the fake Santa Claus line is right on the street that won't right on one side. So I'm taking it to my home workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. He fooled the child and patted on her head, and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And Sidney Lou, who went to bed with a cup, he went to the chimney and stood the tree up. The last thing he took was a log for the fire. He went up the chimney himself with the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to Aadav's house, leaving crumbs too small for Aadav's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn. All the who's still in bed, all the who's still snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with presents, ribbons and wrappings, and tags and tinsels and trimmings and trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of his trumpet, he roared with his load tiptoe to trumpet. Pooh-hoo to the who's, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now. No Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what he'll do. Oh, their mouths will hang open a minute or two. The who's down in Whoville will cry, "Woo-hoo!" That's a noise the Grinch that I simply must hear. So he paused and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. So he did hear a sound rising out of the snow. It started out low, then it started to grow. The sound wasn't sad. Why? It sounded so merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared at Whoville. The Grinch poked his eye. Then he shook what he saw. What a shocking surprise! The Who stand in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any present at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it just the same. Then the Grinch, with his grinchy feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, box or bags. Then he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was so. Then the Grinch thought so something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means little bit more. Then, and what happened then? Well, who will they say that Grinch, a small heart, grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whisked and he loaded through the bright morning light. He brought back the toys and food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Thank you. Bye bye. Peace.